Okay, it's 6:30. Good evening, Select Board and Guilford residents. As the chair of the Guilford Select Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by Governor Scott as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and pursuant to Addendum 6 to Executive Order 01-20 and Act 92, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. In accordance with Act 92, there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with the temporary amendments to the open meeting law, I confirm that we are, one, providing public access to the meeting by video conference with additional access offered through telephone. We are using Google Meet for this remote meeting. All members of the Guilford Select Board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if desired, participate in this meeting by going to https://meet.google.com/xGQ-PMSV-QRA, or they can call, they can call 617 to join this meeting, 675-4444, and punch in PIN number 273-695-013-0582 pound. Two, providing public access notice of instructions for accessing the meeting. Someone wanted to join? And they are there. I see them. Okay.
Yeah.
Two, good evening. Two, providing public access notice of instructions for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing this meeting, including how to access the meeting using the telephone and the video link up in our posted meeting agenda. We have also posted it on guilfordvermont.net. Three, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please telephone 603-558-0891. And finally, four, continuing the meeting if necessary. In the event the public is unable to access this meeting, it will be continued to a time and place certain. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting will be done by roll call vote in accordance with all. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call. Zon Eastis.
Here.
Rusty Marine.
That's it. That's
Miranda
me.
Porch. Miranda, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Becker.
Here.
Richard Wazansky. Here. Very good. And I see that we have guests, Matthew Dove, and who's that there? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Tasha Tillman.
Nice to have you here with us this evening. All right, and so we have recognized you. There are rules of procedure that that govern your interaction with the select board, the public's interaction with the select board, and if there's a necessity to do that, Mr. Rude, our town administrator, will have the rules of procedure at hand. Are there any additions to tonight's agenda?
I do not have any.
I do. So I would like to put under discussions and updates to start our discussion there, the appointment of Lynn Pancake to the Finance Advisory Committee. We just heard that Mr. Pancake is willing to do that. So I'd like to make his appointment this evening so that he can be right at the start of the budget discussion process. Are there any changes to the agenda order?
I have none.
Anyone else? Very good. Then we will move into the minutes. I'm assuming that we've all read the minutes. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I shall move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Zon has seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, I shall take the roll. Zon?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. So the minutes of our last meeting have been approved. Thank you very much. on to the highway update. Peter, do you have updates for us?
Yes, very brief. I spoke with Dan last Friday before Dan left for vacation. The road crew's been busy blowing leaves, cleaning out culverts, grading roads, fixing equipment again, and then they've done some minor repairs on a couple of bridges in Green River as well as in West Guilford.
Okay, and we're hoping that Dan is having a good vacation and he's in a happy hunting ground.
Indeed.
Okay, so now on to new business. We have an incident of a dog bite, and just to characterize that, I know that Tasha and Matthew are here to talk about that, but the select board does have 3 documents, 3 written reports that were in the folder. One from Tasha and Matthew, and one from someone who would prefer to remain anonymous, but who was involved in the incident. And then we also have the town health officer's animal bite report form. The purpose of our discussing this evening is to decide really whether we will at another time have a hearing about this particular incident. So are there any questions or comments about that at this point?
I have a question. This is the second bite, correct? Am I assuming from what I read?
Well, I mean, technically, because this is the first time it's been reported to the select board.
Right.
According to the reports, this is not the first instance. However, as far as the select board is concerned, for legal purposes, we need to consider this the first instance that's been reported. That doesn't mean that the victims did not encounter previous instances. That is just how we have to unfortunately look at it from a legal perspective.
And the process in the dog bite policy is that we sort of have an initial discussion about it and then decide whether we want to have an official hearing about it. So, and that hearing would not be tonight. Okay. Peter, are you, okay, so yes. Tasha? Did you want to?
I was just going to mention that Alex was trying to get in she was in the waiting room. So
okay, she's here now. Hello. Are there any further comments from the select board before we hear from those who were involved in this incident? Okay. So remember, this is not the hearing. This is just a background for the hearing. That's really important for us to know. The hearing will come if there is a hearing at a later time. Do you want to speak, Matthew and Tasha, to this?
Yeah, sure. I just basically want to kind of affirm what's already in the letter, which is that, especially during a pandemic, as a frontline healthcare worker, a person should feel free to and safe on their own property from fear of attack or bodily harm from a person or a dog. Unfortunately, Tasha was bitten. Our 8-year-old son was scratched. Our own dog was bloodied by the Wilcox dog. By their own admission in their certified letter, the Wilcox dog acknowledged that their dog nips, and they've had difficulty in training it. We attempted self-help measures since August of 2020 when it became increasingly an issue. We got sound and light deterrents. We got spray to try and create a deterrent. We put natural brush around our property on our property line to deter the dog. We obtained cameras to secure the property sight line to check to see to go outside in the hopes that the Wilcox would gain control of their animal after they installed an electric fence. Unfortunately, on September 16th, we have video of having to go inside as the dog was again on our property where we feared potential bodily injury. And indeed, that's where I have the image of our dog with blood on its chest. On September 20th, 2022, the Wilcox were asked by me, and I have a video of this of 2020, sorry, in the future, were asked that their dog not be on our property after multiple times running at large on our property that day. In the most egregious, after asking them specifically not to have the dog on our property in September 20th of 2020, the October 17th, our friend Alex had her hand broken while attempting to secure the Wilcox dog as it chaotically was running at large on our property nipping at multiple children, our dogs, and many dogs that were at our guest on our property. Alex had to return the Wilcox dog to their property. They did not seem to make any attempts to retrieve this dog. And we also have a video footage of Alex attempting to secure the dog and had to take it to them and informed them at the time that her hand was hurt, and as well as her daughter. It was confirmed through emergency room visits and subsequent imaging that her finger is broken, and it substantially limits her ability to earn a living now. Certainly I can provide evidence for these statements for the select board, as well as provide witnesses to the events of October 17th. We would trust the judgment of the select board and ask for your help to ensure that the Wilcox potentially vicious dog does not return to our property or to damage others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to open the opportunity for anyone to ask questions in regard to the comment that we prepared,
Mhm.
or in regard to anything that you all have.
Did our other guests want to say something? Joy? You're on mute.
You're muted, Alex.
Still muted.
Oh, I guess she doesn't.
Nope, that's your camera.
Can you?
Oh, I got
There
it.
you go.
I got it.
There you go.
I'm used to Zoom. I'm sorry. Well, I just want to back up what they said, and the reason that I got involved was simply because I wanted to keep them out of it, because there was a couple adults and 3 kids that were knocked down in the instance where my hand was broken. And it was important for me to diffuse the situation as much as possible and not get them involved. And that's why with a broken hand, I brought the dog back over to their property. But I think that I have seen it in action, and what they're saying is completely valid for sure. So I don't really have too much to add without, getting all upset.
Well, does any of the select board members want to make a comment? I'm thinking that that we should have a motion to have an official hearing, given the evidence that's presented, and you can either say, the select board can either agree or not agree that we want to go forward with the hearing, and the hearing would be a more formal meeting where we took the evidence either in person or in your statements, and then looked at our our policy about dogs, and decided on what action we wanted to take in regard to how we wanted to proceed. Yes, Tasha?
Hey, I just wanted to make mention, since Alex is being very humble about this injury. As of the last series of imaging, Alex, just, if I say anything that you want, get the camera. As of the last series of imaging that Alex received, her finger is still completely broken, has not healed, and we are very hopeful that it will begin to heal. It is very likely that this break will take a year at least to recover from, whether that means having a surgical intervention or not. Either way, it's going to be a very long road for her recovery. And I just want to be clear, since you all probably aren't all aware of what she does, her hand, especially her right hand, is essential for her work. She runs her own business and has 2 young children that she supports with said business. And this event, although this is the first reported event, as we attempted to resolve things through multiple measures and without having to come to you all with things like this when there's other important things like pandemics to take care of. So I just want to be clear about how many levels this incident and prior that led up to this, how deeply this is affecting many people in our community.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ally?
But thank you. And I just wanted to also add that because I was brought into this unintentionally, I have my own police report. I have the incident report that I sent to you all, and I have documentation from the hospital in regards to the injury. And I have tried to, and also with the insurance company, and I have tried to be as cordial as possible with the other party. And I have had to actually block them from communicating with me because of the written text messages that I have record of becoming so hostile from the other party. So we have all been very, very nice here trying to find a solution. And I'm not sure what to do next.
Okay.
That's
And
all.
I'm not sure what the select board can do except
Yeah.
in regard to the dog issue. And so I would like to have a motion, if we could, for the select board to have a hearing at a date to be determined.
I have one question.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. What is the difference between deciding now and having a more formal hearing?
Well, because we wanted to be the hearing is a formal. This is not a hearing. I'd like to announce that there will be a hearing, and assemble the materials for a hearing. So we're hearing you, but I wanted to take this in two steps.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, on
I will move.
that the select board should hold a hearing on this incident.
Yes.
All
I'll
right.
second.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Is there any discussion? I shall take the roll then. Zahn,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Richard, aye. So we will then.
Miranda, you forgot
Oh,
me.
Veranda, I'm sorry. How could I forget you?
Aye.
Thank you. I'm staring right. You're in the middle of my screen too. So let the minutes reflect then that the select board will decide to have a hearing. And I guess the best way to come up with the date for that is, should we do a poll, Peter, or you think
Hold on one moment, please.
okay.
I was just writing down the motion.
Yep.
I have a
So-
question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, let me get.
Let me just
Peter's-
answer Richard's first. So state statute does dictate when the hearing needs to occur. So I will verify that, and I will get back to the select board. And Matthew and Tasha and Alex, because it will be a public hearing, it will be publicly warned. The public can participate, and an invitation will also be made to the other party as well.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why we need to put the hearing, in the schedule, because the dog owners are not here for one reason.
And we also, even if they don't show up to that hearing, we have to give the dog owners the opportunity to at least provide a written reply if they don't want to participate.
Right. Very good.
Richard, I
Thank
think
you.
Zahn had a question.
Oh,
No.
Zahn, I'm sorry. No.
Thank you. All my questions were answered.
Very good. Okay. You're welcome to stay with us for the rest of the meeting, or you can be dismissed now. That's why I put you up on the right at the top of the agenda, so that you can leave if you want to, but you don't have to. But we're carrying
You'll
on with
find
our
it
meeting.
fascinating.
So our next item on the agenda is the virtual town meeting day. Peter, did you want to speak to that?
Sure, I can. So this is something that VLCT, or the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, has been pushing fairly strongly since this summer. And obviously, we all know that things started to improve in the late summer. And unfortunately, you will hear in my COVID report in a little while, when we get to that part on the agenda, that things are changing in a negative direction. And so VLCT has been making a bigger push in the past couple of weeks for select boards to seriously consider options for holding a virtual town meeting day. Obviously, that is far from ideal, but we're also living in a far from ideal situation. and we need to think about the health and welfare of residents first. So that's, VLCT is in the process of putting together some recommendations on how best to do that, because there were a few experimentations from towns that delayed their town meeting in the spring, and some of those experiments didn't go so well. Some went okay, but so anyhow, make a long story short, VLCT is trying to figure out what the best practices are for towns to further pursue this.
Okay, I think we should wait to hear what their recommendations are before, which will help us in thinking about it. Right now, according to the governor's executive director, if it stays the way it is, we can't have an in-person town meeting. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that is correct, and which part of what I'll share, in my update later in the meeting will impact that.
Okay, thank you. Do anybody want to comment or question about that? Yes, Zahn?
Well, this is a really particular situation, and I'm sorry that we're in it. But if we are going forward, I certainly have been, as I suppose all of us have been, party to some really dreadful Zoom calls and some really well-run Zoom calls. So I'd really like to put some energy, if we do have a virtual town meeting, that we have a well-trained or well-staffed or well-whatevered town meeting, so it's a really positive experience for people who have to come in that fashion.
Very good point. Thank you, Zahn. Anyone else want to comment or other questions? Okay,
my only comment is that I feel as if people have gotten out of practice in talking with each other. And it's a shame that it's come to this, but obviously safety is our highest priority and healing relationships will come later.
Yeah, thank you for that, Veranda. That's a good point. Okay, on to our updates. The first update I added to the agenda, which is that Mr. Lynn Pancake has agreed to serve on the Finance Advisory Committee, and I would like a motion to appoint him to that position. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Oh, okay, thank you, Veranda. Rusty, did you second it?
I will second it, yes.
And Rusty seconded it. Is there any discussion?
Bravo.
Okay. Yes, bravo, double. I'll take the roll. Zahn?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Veranda?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. Okay, so Lynn has been appointed to the Finance Advisory Committee, and I will send him an email that tells him that, and I will copy Sheila and Peter on that. And I should say that I also asked Sheila to talk to Lynn before this. And so this is subsequent to Lynn's, to Sheila talking, Sheila, who's the chair of the committee, talking to Lynn. So I thought it was done, and the process, I think, was a good process in regard to him having the opportunity to talk to Sheila about what the Finance Advisory Committee is about. And I had also sent him the charge, thank you, Zahn, of what the Finance Advisory Committee, what their charge is. So we're happy that he's agreed. Thank you.
How often do they get together?
It has been every other month, and now they were just waiting for the budget meetings to start.
Right.
So once the select board finishes filling out the doodle poll and we can get those scheduled, then I will schedule meetings with the FAC.
So that's a hint to the select board to get doodling and polling if you haven't already filled it out. It's time consuming because there are a lot of date options. I got exhausted doing it, but I've revived. Okay, all right, Peter, COVID update, please.
Yes, I'll try and be as quick as I can with this.
Please do.
But there's a lot of information this time around. So Vermont has seen an increase in COVID outbreaks across the state. as of last Friday, we're averaging approximately 35 new cases per day. It has gone down slightly over the weekend, and the numbers reported today were slightly lower than that. Some state agencies that are increasing their alert levels to similar levels that we saw in March and April to help prevent the spread of the disease and to keep their staff safe. Some of you may have heard in the news that the Vermont Department of Health had their IT system hacked. Something that has been an increased problem, particularly since COVID has happened. And they're in the process of coming back online. They don't have 100% of their services available to them yet, so they just ask for patience for residents who call and have questions and are trying to get help with a variety of things. The problem occurred because a Department of Health employee fell prey to a phishing attack, and the state is just wanting to warn everyone involved in state and municipal activities to take caution when opening emails. Even if that email appears to be from someone you know, it may actually be spoofed. And if you don't understand what I'm saying right now, please talk to someone who understands these things, and that person could be me. But please talk to someone to get help to make sure you understand how to protect yourself against these things. Currently, Vermont has seen 539 new cases in the past 30 days, with 115 new cases in the past week. These are numbers similar to what we were seeing in March and April, so that's a little bit concerning. Majority of the cases are coming from community transmissions and following to fail the state guidance, i.e., unfortunately, it's because of COVID fatigue, which we're all feeling, of being locked up at home and not seeing friends and family, and not going out to dinner or having a birthday party, things like that. But because most of these new cases are coming from those types of events, the state is reinstating some of the actions that were taken earlier in the year. The biggest of which is that as of this past Friday, all in-person gatherings, whether indoor or outdoor, are now limited to a maximum of 10 people. That being said, the state is strongly recommending folks not have group gatherings aside from those that you immediately live with. There are currently 6 known major outbreaks across the state. So please remember to wash your hands frequently and wear your mask whenever you're out in public. And unfortunately, the state has been saying a lot that they understand that the holidays have begun, and unfortunately the holidays are going to have to look different this year for all of us, whatever holiday you celebrate. And so that's going to be hard for friends and family, but they're really concerned about the health of Vermonters. So and last but not least, the governor has made a temporary order to restrict all school sporting activities for the next 2 weeks to see if that helps reduce some of the caseload. And they will be likely tomorrow, the state will be issuing guidance for ski resorts.
Thank you, Peter. Any comments or questions?
Well, that last was going to be my question about people coming up here to ski, and whether there were going to be new guidelines for ski areas and for people staying in hotels, motels, Airbnbs.
So I guess we'll find that out tomorrow.
And one last thing is the state has increased the self-quarantine number of days back to the original amount. So previously, if you had self-quarantined after going somewhere else to visit or coming to Vermont, if you had self-quarantined prior to that, you only had to quarantine for 7 days. Or if you had a negative test, you only had to quarantine for 7 days. It's now back up to the 2 weeks again.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Zahn, update on
Yes.
the DVFiber.
Yeah, thank you. Quickly, there are, just so you know, there are As of this month, there will be 4 new towns that have joined the CUD, so we'll be up to 19 towns altogether. Weston, Dummerston, Putney, and Westminster have either joined or are joining soon. So that's the continued growth here.
And that helps to create the critical mass, right?
It's definitely, yeah, it's definitely there. Yeah. People are saying that when we finally get to the size we need to be, probably there will be about 30 towns in the district altogether. There's a poll study being done right now in 3 towns near Reedsboro. Reedsboro is the only town in our district that already has a completed poll study, meaning every single telephone pole in the community has been looked at for its ability to carry fiber. And so we now have a poll study for the 3 towns around Reedsboro, and our work will be to expand that study. We just completed the grant into the northern borders, which will then, if we are successful with that, it will enable us to do poll studies throughout the entire district.
Right.
There's a problem with the district growing in that we need more money. Every time it grows, we need more money to complete the various steps that need to be done in order to get us ready. After a poll study, then comes the study, sort of a design study on being able to build up the entire system, and then finally would come the system rolling out to all the different communities in time. We have a new website up. I think I sent Peter forwarded a message to all the select board members. We want to get that out. So if whatever you can do to push that, just it's good that people know it's there as a resource. That's mainly what it's about. And then the last thing I want to say is that if you didn't already understand, that our CUD is one of 9 across the state, and those 9 CUDs meet in regular meetings as an association for learning opportunities, sharing resources as they come forward, learning about possibilities and so forth. There's every expectation, and especially now after this election, that there might come some more federal COVID relief into the nation, but into the state, and that some of that money, if it as it begins to filter down, could be used to shrink the incredible differences in our community from the point of view of broadband. So we're watching that carefully.
Thank you, Zahn. Are there any comments or questions? Okay. Peter, fresh air, what have we found out about that?
This will be short and sweet. Nothing. See you guys.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
We'll keep you posted about the hearing date. Sorry, Peter.
Unfortunately, I don't have any information to share as I shared with Richard at the end of last week. So I did discover that on a technical level, fresh air within buildings in the state is regulated by the Vermont Department of Health. That being said, the Department of Health has partnered with Efficiency Vermont on this. And so they do, partially because of COVID, partially because they feel that Efficiency Vermont has the skills and abilities to handle this better than they do. So I had reached out to the Department of Health, and they referred me to Efficiency Vermont. And so I am currently awaiting a response from Efficiency Vermont.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to hearing more about that.
So you will know as soon as I do.
Great. All right. If there are no further comments or questions, on to the warrants.
Okay. I move that we pay the following warrants. Payroll week 11/1/20 for $5,927.14. Payroll week 11/8/20 for $6,289.02, and expense warrant number 2009 for $414,327.88 for a total of $426,544.04.
Do I have a second on the warrants? Thank you, Zahn. Is there any discussion?
Yes, the discussion is that these were the homestead declarations that I think all of you understand that makes for that largest sum.
Okay. Thank you, Veranda. Any communications, Peter?
Richard, would you like to take a
Oh, we
vote?
have to take a vote. I'm sorry.
Especially for that large sum, but you should take a vote every time.
Yeah. Although, Zahn,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
Veranda,
Aye.
Michael, Richard, aye. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Any communications?
None of relevance for tonight. And then action summary from the previous meeting, the select board appointed Tenzin Mathis to the Recreation Commission, Richard to speak with Lynn Pancake about joining the FAC, which we already talked about. I was to investigate fresh air regulations for municipal buildings, which we've heard about. I still need to compile overtime data as requested for the select board. I will get that for you for our budget meetings. And I sent out a doodle poll for select board members to schedule budget meetings. As far as actions you have taken tonight, the select board moved to hold a hearing on the dog bite incident. The select board moved to appoint Lynn to the FAC. Richard will follow up with Lynn and Sheila. And that is it for actions, unless you guys heard something I missed.
Okay, I think I'm at liberty to just give a little information going back to the hearing issue. All of you have access to the dog ordinance, and so I would ask you to familiarize yourself with that. And in my reading of it, I would pay particular attention to nuisances 1, 2, and 6. No license, running at large, and potentially vicious dog.
Richard, may I just speak for a hot second on that?
Yeah.
So I just for information for the select board, I am actually going to call the attorneys at VLCT because this is technically considered a quasi-judicial hearing.
That's correct.
So I want to make sure that we do this correctly.
Yes, thank you, Peter. And also, it could become a civil case as well, according to our dog ordinance. And
that is correct.
Decided in the court. So we have to. That's why I want to proceed very carefully and with all the information in front of us. Okay, now it's that time again, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, before we did that time, I just wanted to thank Peter for getting the Emerald Ash Tree Borer grant. And that was a lot of work at the last minute. And if anybody doesn't know about that project, it's a very cool project, and we'll talk about it another time. That was initiated by the Conservation Commission, very briefly, to support the money that the Select Board has allocated to cut down the ash trees, to distribute the wood, the usable firewood, to people in Guilford who need it. And there's more to it than that, but it was a sweet grant, and Peter worked very hard on it.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, I'm entertaining a motion. Do I hear a motion?
Veranda moved and Rusty seconded.
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
It's
All
been
right.
wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you all. We should thank ourselves. So I'll take the roll on that for adjournment. Zahn?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Veranda?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. The motion carries unanimously. And although it's been brief, it's been a great pleasure seeing you all.
And Rusty, have a great vacation.
We'll be
Yes.
hearing from you in Florida in a couple of weeks.
Oh, good for you. When are you leaving, Rusty?
We're in Virginia right now. We're almost
Oh.
there.
Fantastic. So have a good time and kiss the sun for me.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good night,
Yeah,
everybody.
stay safe.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.